Hey everyone, we are Group 5 with Nikki Strack, Justin Wolf, and Patricia Castro. Today we're going to be discussing forecasting and predictive analytics. Forecasting versus predictive analytics. Forecasting and predictive analytics are both marketing techniques used to project future outcomes and are often used interchangeably. However, there is a great distinction between these two terms. Forecasting is often using numbers, trends, and seasonality observations to predict future outcomes, whereas predictive analytics anticipates behaviors of consumers using explanatory variables. This video gives a brief explanation on how forecasting is used and also compares it to budgeting, which is another term that others often find their meanings difficult to distinguish.
Forecasts are predictions that focus on probable future events upon which budgets are based. The sales forecast is the initial and most critical step in forecasting an organization's future performance. All other forecasts are dependent on the accuracy of the sales forecast. The sales forecast identifies future probabilities or expectations from the marketplace. It consists of sales revenue, sales volume, anticipated cost, and profit contributions or margins. Forecasts utilize historical data, statistical analysis, expert opinion, and other references to improve accuracy and inclusiveness.
Some benefits of forecasting include better financial planning by forecasting sales and realizing which products or services are receiving higher demand. It also helps to better understand which products to allocate our spending towards and use revenue forecasting to better budget our business expenses. An important benefit of forecasting is to better understand customers. We can also use this to improve our staffing and make justified hiring decisions. For example, if we have a manager with a small team, and we decide to bring in a couple more employees to see if it will help to increase sales and revenues, we can see if it is better compared to the smaller team that she had before. Based on these outcomes, we can decide, does she need a bigger or a smaller team? Some benefits of forecasting also include better financial planning by forecasting sales and realizing which products or services are receiving higher demand. It also helps us to better understand which products to allocate our spending towards and using revenue forecasting to budget these expenses. One popular and important forecasting example is sales forecasting. This can be used to estimate how much will be sold by a company within a given time period. In doing so, one must determine what the market potential is to estimate total expected sales. One must also determine what the sales potential is. This is the estimate of the maximum revenue the company will generate from the sale of the product or service. It's also important to be as accurate as possible in doing so we do not over or underestimate the demand levels. There are a lot of different techniques used for sales forecasting, such as customer surveys, in which we will gather research data on our potential buyers, and shopping habits and behaviors. We can also use expert opinions from third parties. This is an estimate backed by research and quantitative methods. Another important method to mention is time series forecasting. This is a technique that observes patterns and trends in sales and can be used to measure the rate of growth in sales in the past and extrapolate it to the future. Once we have used several of the techniques listed above that are backed by data and research, we can then make an estimate for sales and later compare these results with the actual outcome that we have received. We can also make adjustments based on what we have observed as we move forward. This will help to better narrow in on our important findings and help us in the future. So how can we make a forecast? The first step to make a forecast is to determine the purpose for the forecast. In doing so, you will need to take into account when the forecast will be used, the degree of accuracy, and the levels needed for desired outcomes such as time, money, and employees. Our second step is to establish a time horizon. This will help to determine how much time is spent and the amount of accuracy for the forecast. Our third step is to select a forecasting technique. There are many different techniques used, such as qualitative forecasting and quantitative forecasting. Qualitative forecasting involves collecting forecasts from several different experts in one area, whereas quantitative incorporates the use of regression models, exponential smoothing models, and mathematical values. Our fourth step is going to be to gather and analyze data found regarding the forecasting purpose. In the fifth step, we're going to make the actual forecast. And then in the sixth step, we're going to go ahead and analyze how accurate the forecast is compared to our actual data. And from there, we can make any improvements necessary that will help us on our next forecasting process. We also decided to include a clip that will go a little bit more in depth about predictive analytics, what they are, and how they are used.
Predictive analytics, transforming data into future insights. Predictive analytics is a category of data analytics aimed at making predictions about future outcomes based on historical data and analytics techniques such as statistical modeling and machine learning. With the help of sophisticated predictive analytics tools and models, any organization can now use past and current data to reliably forecast trends and behaviors milliseconds, days, or years into the future. Retailers often use predictive models to forecast inventory requirements, manage shipping schedules, and configure store layouts to maximize sales.
So why are we using predictive analytics now? With growing volumes in data types and more interest in using data to produce valuable insights, we are using predictive analytics. They also provide us with faster and cheaper computers, easier to use software, and when we have tougher economic conditions, especially like today, we have a need for competitive differentiation. So why are predictive analytics so important? Well, organizations are turning to predictive analytics to help solve difficult problems and uncover new opportunities in the business world. Common uses include detection of fraud, as cybersecurity is becoming a growing concern at this day and age. Combining multiple analytic methods can improve pattern detection and therefore prevent criminal behavior. Predictive analytics can also help to optimize marketing campaigns. Predictive models help businesses attract, retain, and grow their most profitable customers. Businesses can use predictive analytics to predict customer purchases and responses in order to help them increase their sales and retain their customers. Operations can also be improved with predictive analytics. Many companies use predictive analytic models to forecast inventory and better manage their resources. For example, airlines can set appropriate ticket prices for times of the year and holidays when they be the most busy or less busy. Hotels can also predict the number of guests that they will have at a certain time of the year in order to try and maximize their occupancy. Lastly, predictive analytics can help to reduce risk. Credit scores, insurance claims, and collections are some risk-related uses of predictive analytics. So where can predictive analytics be used? Well, they are used and can be used in virtually every single industry, from travel and entertainment to utilities, manufacturing, and retail. While exact purposes and benefits may differ, any industry can use predictive analytics to reduce risks, optimize operations, and ultimately increase their revenue. So how can you get started using predictive analytics? The first thing you'll need is to have a problem to solve. You can ask questions such as, what do you want to know about the future based on the past? What do you want to understand and predict? You'll also want to consider what will be done with the predictions. What decision will be driven by the insights? What actions will be taken? Step 2 is that you're going to gather data. Data can be gathered from a lot of different places, such as transactional systems, data collected by sensors, third-party information, call center notes, web logs, etc. This data then needs to be cleansed and prepped in order to be useful. For this step, you may need professional help that can both understand the data and the problem you're trying to solve. You'll also need a data wrangler or someone with data management experience to help you cleanse and better prep the data for analysis. Step 3, you're now going to build your actual predictive model. And then step 4, once you have your predictive model, you're going to go ahead and utilize a team approach. You'll probably need a number of different professionals or systems to help you to understand and use your predictive model to better help your business. So what are some of the benefits of predictive analytics? There are many benefits that come along with predictive analytics. Some include being able to gain advantages over your competitors, reduce costs, and produce your goods in a more effective way. By knowing what your customers want, you're able to reduce your costs and produce only the goods that you believe that you will need. You can also create better marketing and meet the needs of your customers because you'll understand what they want and how you can market to them. So what are some examples of predictive analytics? Well, one of them is predicting the buying behavior in retail. By knowing what customers are going to buy, you can create products that would be appealing to them and better market to them. A second example is to detect sickness in healthcare. By knowing what sicknesses may come about, you can better predict how you can market to customers and how you can create products that would be helpful. For example, many companies have created masks when they're just clothing companies because they have that capability, but they're able to sell them because they are useful and customers need them. You can also create more content in entertainment. By knowing what customers are going to think is funny, what they might want, what could be interesting, you could go ahead and make content that would be marketable to them. Predictive analytics can also be helpful in predicting sports performance. This can be very helpful to the sports industry. These are just 4 examples. Again, predictive analytics can be used in just about any industry, and they should be used to better create predictions and help you to max out your revenues. So that's what we have for forecasting and predictive analytics. That's all we have for today. So thank you so much for watching and learning more with us.